Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. Pannell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border. And the new Capital OTB mobile app. Wager anytime, any place, anywhere. Download it free from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Good morning. Welcome to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning, live from the Saratoga backstretch. I'm Seth Merrill. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we'll be joined in a few minutes by Michael Dubb. We'll talk a little bit about the owner's side of the game, and great meet at Saratoga for Michael once again, as he is perennially one of the leading owners in New York and has done it at Saratoga the past couple of seasons. He's up on top of the standings as well. But we'll also talk about Belmont Child Care Association. They do a great job with their Anna House facility down in New York for the backstretch workers, but they have a charity event coming up next week. Wanted to alert you to it because it is a great charity, racing-related charity, and if you want to go to the event, really one of the nice social events of the Saratoga season. Just wanted to plant that in your mind and maybe mark it on your calendar for next week, so we'll talk about that as well. Mike Welch from the Daily Racing Forum a little bit after that. His weekly visit, as he and Dave Grendig alternate on Thursdays, but we'll talk some of the stakes action. Well, actually, we'll go back to last weekend a little bit and get some ideas on the 2-year-old stakes from last weekend, but look ahead to the Lake Placid and the Alabama coming up here on Saturday. And then we'll wind things up with Rick Schosberg, trainer, member of the New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association board. We'll talk some racing with Rick, obviously, but also the Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association sponsoring an interesting event tomorrow at the Fasig-Tipton Pavilion, knowing when to retire your racehorse. And so thoroughbred aftercare has become such a kind of a hot-button issue in the thoroughbred world that this is an interesting talk being given tomorrow by Dr. Patty Hogan. And again, if folks are out there with thoroughbreds and in the back of their mind thinking, you know, at some point we're going to retire the horse and maybe look for a second career, you want to do it the right way and do it before the horse has been on the racetrack too long. And so the talk tomorrow at Fasig-Tipton addresses those kind of issues. And again, it's sponsored by NYTHA, so we'll have Rick talk a little bit about that as well. All of that coming up in a few. Before we do, just want to alert you, as always, our focus so much is on Saratoga during the Saratoga racing season. But, you know, a couple of weeks ago, Arlington Million, and there's plenty of great racing action summertime all across the country. You know, Brian mentioned Joe Christofek in town doing the paddock commentary now at Ellis Park. I was talking to him a couple of days ago, actually. The Groupie Doll out there is a really nice stakes race. And so, again, there's nice stakes action all over the place as the summer progresses. But at Del Mar on Saturday, Pacific Classic Day with some really, really nice stakes on the card. The Del Mar Handicap, 1 3/8 on the grass. It's in the Post, comes in for Jeff Mullins. Most recently was in the United Nations. Was leading much of the way around, wound up finishing 5th in there, but goes back to the West Coast for Mullins and has some nice numbers that fit. Ashley Loves Sugar with a string of triple digits underneath for Peter Urton is going to clearly be a player. Comes out of a nice second place finish in the Eddie Reed most recently at the beginning of the Del Mar meet. The winner that day was Hunt. Hunt is also in on Saturday. Mr. Rory finished 3rd in that Eddie Reed. So the top 3 finishers from essentially the prep for this Del Mar Handicap all back on Saturday. Then the Pacific Classic. While we talk about the Pacific Classic, just wanted to toss out there the replay from the San Diego just to let you see Arrogate again with the real head-scratcher of a performance. Winner here is going to be number 1, Accelerate, wins by a chart margin of 8.5. Donworth runs 2nd by a clear margin. Cat Burglar, the number 5, runs 3rd, and running 4th at 5 cents to the dollar number 3, Arrogate, and it's just a complete head scratcher. And so Arrogate obviously back in on Saturday, been working well since that race. So we'll see if there's a rebound here. Collected coming in for Baffert, I think, is interesting. Accelerate back off of that San Diego, and Donworth off the second place. So nice, fun 8-horse field scheduled for Saturday in the Pacific Classic, and the storyline clearly will Arrogate rebound. Also on the card on Saturday, if I have the PPs here, I do. The Del Mar Oaks will wind up the stakes action on Saturday, as the name indicates. 3-year-old fillies, but 3-year-old fillies on turf. Madame Dance-A-Lot comes in off a win in the San Clemente earlier in the Del Mar meet. Conti Partiro for Wesley Ward. This is a horse that's shown some nice promise for Wesley in a really a lightly raced campaign so far. Only 7 starts, but comes out of a win most recently at Royal Ascot, where Wesley Ward does very good. So Conti Partiro could be a player in here. Storm the Hill, nice improving numbers recently. Pacific Wind, lightly raced, but with some numbers that fit with this bunch. So I think all 3 of those stakes on Saturday out at Del Mar, very, very intriguing. But again, the storyline obviously is going to be, will there be a rebound from Arrogate in the Pacific Classic? So again, keep that in mind. Nice stakes racing across the country on Saturday, as well as right here at Saratoga. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Michael Dubb, leading owner here at Saratoga, at least the past couple of seasons, in the lead again this year, does well downstate also, as we all know. But we'll talk about racing with Michael, and again, Belmont Child Care Association, as well, as they have the charity event coming up that you may be interested in. Stay tuned, all of that right after this.
Whether you're winding down from a day at the track or gearing up for the night, celebrate summer with live music, fabulous food, and the best happy hour in Saratoga. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
Nighttime thoroughbred racing is back at Capital OTB. Now through Labor Day, Capital OTB will be accepting wagers on nighttime thoroughbred racing from across the country, featuring evening racing from Del Mar and Woodbine, and now it's even easier to be part of the action. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com on all your digital devices, or use our newly designed mobile app. So even when the sun goes down, thoroughbred racing continues at capitalotbbet.com. Log on today.
A huge race on the outside, but it's Ferdinand and Alashiba nose to the wire. Good chase coming on the outside. Alashiba going to get there at the rail with Ferdinand. Alashiba has won it by a nose.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, you get track prices. Going on now, it's Bet 50, Get 50. Simply open a Capital Bets account, bet $50, and get $50 cash back. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Relax with a signature cocktail or one of our world-class wine selections while enjoying indoor or outdoor dining for lunch and dinner. The Diamond Club at the Embassy Suites, winner of the 2016 and 2017 Wine Spectator Award of Excellence.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As mentioned before the break, we're happy to be joined now by one of perennially New York leading owner Michael Dubb. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And nice meet up here at Saratoga. The stats I pulled up this morning, 40 starts, 8 wins, 7 seconds, 6 thirds, put you on the top of the leaderboard right now.
Yeah.
Just past the halfway point.
It's a lot of fun.
We got to find out some way, though. I found this on the NYRA website. We got to find out some way for Equibase to parse things out a little better, because it's tough to get your numbers on Equibase because you're in a bunch of partnerships and they parse them all out separately.
Yeah, that's a debate for Equibase because, it doesn't give credit. I mean, one of the great owners in the game right now is Saul Kuhlman. and he just doesn't get the credit he deserves because of his various partnerships.
Seems like technology could somehow parse it both ways. If you wanted to
Yeah.
pull one owner's numbers all together, it seems like, as they say, the technology has to be out there to
It's
figure
got
that
to
out.
be there, yeah.
Let's go back because I want to talk a little bit about the racing side of things. And you mentioned one of the races that you were happy about, obviously, deservedly so, from just a few days ago. Pulling up the Saratoga Dew. We're going to watch number 4, Literata, get it done in here. Talk a little bit about this horse, and is there a spot for her still remaining in the meet? Will she come back at Saratoga or more down at Belmont?
No, actually, what I'm going to do is keep her here and main track her only in the New York bred turf race next week. Why not?
Yeah.
You never know with the weather up here. She's an interesting horse. We claimed her a couple of years ago for $40,000, and the toughest thing is getting races to go. I was listening to Andy Serling the other day, and he said, I sent her up to the Finger Lakes because I didn't have a lot of confidence. I really sent her up to the Finger Lakes because I couldn't get a race to go for her in New York. And I've noticed a pattern. A lot of the horses I've sent to the Finger Lakes who have run a two-turn race have come back and run well on their two-turn races here, so I think that might be a little bit of a handicapping angle.
Oh, that's interesting. And it's also interesting. I think as handicappers, we often read into these kind of situations. Went to Finger Lakes and what happened here, changed jockeys, and I think there's oftentimes backstories that we're unaware of that we're reading way too much into some of these things.
You know, I listened to it, and, 50% of the time it's accurate, 50% of the time it's speculation, but you got to understand, we really don't have two-turn racing downstate except for the inner dirt track. Yeah. So by getting these horses a prep race over a two-turn track and getting them used to it, I've won Sunday with a horse named Damage, Ground Control, who also had run two turns at the Finger Lakes. So I'm beginning to see a little pattern.
That's interesting.
That it might be beneficial to get a two-turn race into them before Saratoga, even if it's the Finger Lakes.
And I wanted to stay on Literata for a moment because I kind of looked up the background. You claimed this horse back in January 2016, dipped in for $40,000 since then. Not bad. 15 starts, 4 wins, 5 seconds, 2/3, including that staked race just the other day up at Saratoga. Talk a little bit about the claiming game and how you participate and how you team up with your trainers to kind of decide where to go.
Well, much like you have specialists in the medical care and the legal profession, I think you, as an owner, you try and handicap your trainers. And if you're looking for a certain type of horse, it's no secret that if I want a long-distance grass horse, I'm going to look for Chad Brown. If I want a sprinting turf horse, I may look for Jason Service. If I want a dirt horse, 2 turns, I may look towards Rudy. And that's not to say all of these trainers don't do well in all the other categories, but I kind of try and match the horse where I think the trainer excels, and it's important you surround yourself with people. It's more than just the trainer. The trainer needs to have a good blacksmith, a good vet, the right jockey, be astute on reading the condition book. So it's a whole process, but it takes a lot of work.
And Literata was Rudy, and as you say, you're involved with a number of trainers. And on the claiming side of the game, do you watch races on a daily basis and make notes? And I mean, is the claiming game a lot of study on your end?
Yes, it's a tremendous amount of study. I watch a lot of races. I probably spend an hour to 2 hours a night watching races, and sometimes I even watch a race that a horse is coming out of to see how the competition came back. But yeah, it's a lot of studying like that.
Do you, and maybe it's not formulated in your mind, but as I asked the question, do you have a philosophy in that how you approach the horses? Some people go to the 2-year-old sales. Some people go to the yearling sales. Some people are more in the claiming game. What is how do you approach it?
You're 100% correct, and I think one of the reasons that I've been able to be a leading owner here is because of diversification. I know owners who only buy, yearlings, other people who just buy private purchases. I really do a little bit of everything. So I do buy yearlings. Some of them are racing today that were purchased as yearlings. I certainly like to claim horses when it's the right thing to do. I'm okay with a private purchase. That would be Uni, who's racing in the Lake George tomorrow. And like to go to the 2-year-old and training sales. So I have the diversity in my program that a lot of people don't. A lot of people just have a sweet spot, and they do well with it. It's, what works for everybody.
Yeah, well, again, you've been very successful being, I know the last couple of years up here.
The last 3 years.
Last 3 years. So now up here, it is very, very tough, as we know. So again, you're sitting on the top of the leaderboard. Is that something is that like a feather in your cap to win up at Saratoga?
Well, just to win a race at Saratoga, one race, I think is great for anybody. It's a tremendous experience. There's nothing I enjoy more at Saratoga than watching the winner's circle and the jubilation and the joy that people have when they go in there. It's just almost an out-of-body experience.
And it's always fun to watch one of these partnership groups where about 40 people file in with big smiles on their faces, and you can tell, it caps off the experience for them to get into. It's fun just to be a member of those partnerships and have the social aspect, but if you can cap it off with a walk into the winner's circle, even better.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit now and kind of shift gears, because one of the reasons I wanted to have you here is you're chairman of the board of the Belmont Child Care Association. We've talked about it in previous years with you. Folks who haven't caught those editions of the show, update us a little bit, because I think it's one of the better racing charities. I think it was an innovation, the Anna House facility down at Belmont. I think you guys have done a great job, but talk a little bit about it.
Yesterday I was at the racetrack chaplaincy event, and it's a great event. There are so many great causes, but the Anna House came about 20 years ago. I was approached by Jerry Bailey, who I just knew socially, and he indicated to me that the children of the people who worked on the backstretch were sleeping in their cars. They were left unattended. They had nothing to do, and they'd love to have a daycare center. And I am a home builder, and I said, Jerry, I'd love to build something and donate it. And I thought I was going to donate it and ride off into the sunset. Its first few years was a challenge, because I thought you build it and they will come. But there's paperwork. The people who participated in it, didn't know how to fill out paperwork, were afraid of the process. We thought there were going to be government grants galore. There weren't. So it was a challenge. Now it's just the most successful story on the backside. We have 70 kids every day. We open at 5 a.m., 365 days a year. We start at 6 weeks. They graduate in cap and gown pre-K. We teach the children to speak English, to do computers, to play chess, to garden, to give them all the skills that they really need. So we are setting up just a fantastic foundation. And being a builder, I can tell you, if your foundation isn't right, everything else is a problem. So we give them a good foundation, and these kids are drop-dead adorable, cute, full of spunk, vim, and vigor. And I've been asked before about winning races. This is more important than any race. I would have rather done this than maybe one day win the Kentucky Derby. This is the greatest win on the
I
side.
tip my cap to you and everybody involved with the BCCA, because it is a great addition to the racetrack, and we all know the backstretch workers. They're out there 24/7, 365, and to have something like this for the kids. And you mentioned the foundation, and I'm sure you've had some success stories of kids moving on to bigger and better things. And I read on the website, I think there's now, speaking of foundation, some kind of engineering program for the kids, where with the whole STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and the way that the economy is going now, to get kids started in that direction is really important.
This is what I have to say. I was the builder. I've hung around. I've obviously been a part of it, but there are so many people, starting with our president, Libby Imperio, who have, and our executive director, Joanne Adams, who are constantly searching for new ways to enhance the experience of the children in the backstretch, open doors. We have after-school programs. We have party. At Christmas time, we go out, we buy a room full of gifts. We let the kids come in, pick out the gifts, so they have gifts to give their siblings. But really, all the credit goes to everybody else, Libby Imperial, Joanne Adams, and the entire board, who are so dedicated and work so hard to open new doors. The That's just one of the many programs we have. We have English-speaking programs for parents. We have after-school programs. We have Saturday programs. I could go on, and I know time is valuable.
Yeah, and I would advise people to visit the website, belmontchildcare.org, and you can kind of find out for yourself the programs and whatnot. It's very informative. As I say, you guys do a great job. But we have you here because your annual event, which is one of the highlights of the Saratoga social season, so that this is a great way for people to have some fun and donate to the Belmont Child Care Association.
You know, we work in relative anonymity most of the year, and this is the one time that the racing family, and it's really a big family, there have been so many people who have been so generous to the daycare center through the years. This is the one time we can come together, raise some money, but also celebrate what we do, kind of share in the past year, bring everybody up to speed. And everybody, you know, you have a picture up. Those are the real heroes, the people who come and support.
And it's, again, it's next Wednesday night, the Hall of Springs. If people go to the website, there's a link to a separate website for the event itself and find out about tickets and whatnot. What we see on the left there, Wayne Lucas does some auctioneering. And if you look at the pictures, you see the entire racing community. If you want to come mingle and rub elbows with jockeys and trainers, this is the place to go.
They're all there, and Wayne has done an incredible job for us probably the last 10 years. This will be our 20th event. And we started in the Canfield Casino before the building was built. The building was built in the early 2000s, and it's just been sensational. So.
Highly recommend it. Again, it's kind of a casual event, but it's a lot of fun. It's, as I say, one of the highlights of the social season, and it also goes to a great cause. Michael, again, appreciate your stopping by. Good luck with the remainder of the season, and hopefully a big turnout at the BCCA event as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
All right.
Okay.
We'll take a break. When we come back, Mike Welch is in the house. We'll talk a little stakes action. Last weekend, this weekend. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're Loose on the Lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., Loose on the Lead, Capital OTB.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
With more than 60 Easy Bet and branch locations throughout the region, you're just a short drive from all the top tracks across the country and around the world. For a complete list of all Easy Bet and branch locations, visit CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB. We're closer than you think.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Joined now by our friend Mike Welch from the Daily Racing Forum. Again, highly recommend the workout reports from Mike, but also follow his work in the Daily Racing Forum, the hard copy, or drf.com. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Moving along, we're past the halfway point. Things looking up weather-wise for this afternoon, certainly. And I think overall the weather, we had the freakish rainstorm on Saturday, and there have been a couple of rainy days, but I think, it's so weather-related, attendance and handle up here, I think we've kind of lucked out for yet another year.
Pretty much. So far now, there's rain in the forecast sometime, I guess, later today or early morning, and then extending into tomorrow. So it could affect the workouts tomorrow. There's a bunch of big work scheduled tomorrow. Also could affect the racing, turf, whatever. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on it in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, that was a kind of a freakish situation, though, on Saturday where they had him in the paddock for about 20 minutes, and it looked like for the second year in a row we made the
it reminded me of Arlington Million Day last year when we actually canceled midway through the card, and I thought there was a good possibility it could happen again. It really puts the bettors that have already put their money into the pools and the pick fours, 5, 6s at a disadvantage when something like that happens, and then management is in a funny spot. I mean, do you cancel those races? I mean, it's sort of unfair to the bettors to have to go on with conditions that weren't there when you started. I mean, I know they give them alls in the races they take off the turf, but I'm sure if the players knew that was coming, they wouldn't even have their money in the pool. So it's a tough situation for everybody when that
and I will give credit that they changed rules at virtually all the racetracks, I think, now to do the alls. It wasn't necessarily the case at one point, but that's the right thing to do.
Oh, absolutely. But and sometimes the weather catches you unawares. But if there's any doubt that rain is coming, or any thought that there might be some rain coming that would force you off the grass in some of these races, you have to take them off ahead of time and just bite the bullet and take the less handle. But you have to protect the bettors.
Yeah, but as I say, for the most part, the weather's been pretty good here, and we've been pretty lucky. And as you say, tomorrow may be a little dicey, but hopefully through the weekend things hold up. And we'll talk the weekend in just a moment. I wanted to go back to last weekend, though, get some ideas what you thought of the 2-year-olds with the Adirondack and the Saratoga Special. Adirondack, we're going to watch the stretch run here. It's going to be number 1, Pure Silver, getting it done. I like the horse for Pletcher. It was a state bred. That was the question mark. A couple of races against New York breds, including a little New York bred stake. But could this horse move out into open company? I thought, given the 2 performances, it could. And, man, she did in a big way. With chart margins 9.5 here for Pure Silver.
Yeah, and she didn't get away all that well either. She kind of had a head turn a little bit at the start, but I think the inside was good. I think Todd knew it was good, and he wanted him. The instructions were to make sure you got the lead on the rail, and when she did, it was all over. Southampton Way ran second. She actually outbroke the field, and they decided to take a hold of her and take her back, and she raced outside, and maybe arguably the deeper going, but was still good enough to be second. After that, nobody really showed up. Stainless stumbled really badly leaving the gate, lost all chance there, did well to come on to be 4th, and I think she's headed to the turf for her next start.
I'll ask you before we go on to the special yesterday, that Pletcher horse is turning out to be a monster, that March Express, who in the career debut totally missed the break. And I used it that day. I kicked myself that I didn't have the horse yesterday, but after missing the break in the career debut, came like a rocket, and really had all kinds of trouble yesterday and finally found a hole. And I used the Wesley Ward's horse Fairyland, and I thought at the 16th ball I was home free. But when March Express found a little daylight, that's a nice horse. Now 2 for 2 with 2 kind of similarly quirky come-from-behind performances.
Yeah, she's got a lot of education from just 2 starts, and the education she got in the first start paid dividends yesterday, too, because she had to come from behind again. She had to kind of bull her way between horses about the 16th pole, inside the 8th pole, somewhere in there. And then once she finally got into clear, she really showed a good turn of foot. So I talked to Todd about maybe stretching her out next time, and he was talking maybe a 1-turn mile like the Natalma at Woodbine. But it was a pretty impressive effort. And her stablemate, I thought, ran well to be 3rd, too. It was her first time on the turf. She got hung out a little bit wide, raced a little greenly, came on also at the end, only got beat a length. So a good effort for both of the Pletcher fillies there.
Speaking of Pletcher and trainers battle and the Ortiz brothers and the jockeys battle. Two really nice battles on both sides. I think the Ortiz brothers are going to duke it out to the end. But Todd Pletcher, he was here on the network with Mark Casano the Saturday before the meet started. And Casano said, what do you expect? And Todd said, I think I'm down to the underdog. It's not turning out that way.
Well, this last week, and I think Chad Brown told somebody I know that he's a little light in this particular condition book, and that was the case. He hasn't had many starters, or he won't have many starters from Wednesday through Friday, and that'll give Todd a little bit edge. Todd running in a little, more of the claiming races than Chad is. So Todd's going to inch ahead here over the next few days, and then it'll be up to Chad to try to, load things up. And, he's going to have to come from behind. Not that far behind it. I'm sure he's been saving some bullets for the last 10 or 12 days of the meet. So I think it's still going to go right down to the end. Todd does have the edge now, but hard to say how many starters each will have. And it could come down to a photo here or a photo there between the two of them. That's a two-win difference. Whoever wins those close photos, and that's the way it could be right down to the end.
And on the jockey side, the Ortiz brothers putting up a good battle, too.
No surprise, and again, right there, too. It could be a photo here, a photo there, or, who just surges right at the end, because it looks like whoever is at bat last or has the ball last is going to win here. It might go right down to the last day, and who prevails on the final day of the meet.
And it's always fun up here at Saratoga, the human side, because it typically does come down to a nice little battle, at least over the last few days, if not the last day. So it's going to be fun, I think, again this year. All right, let's go to that Saratoga special on the boys' side. I went with Diamond Oops coming in from Gulfstream. I thought the two performances down there were okay. Diamond Oops is going to be the 8 horse, wind up 6th in the field of 9. I got my odds, and the horse did have a little trouble at the beginning, but didn't get it done. Right underneath, I used Copper Bullet, and Copper Bullet will be the winner for Steve Asmussen. A little chilly at the meet, but got through with a nice stakes win here. Number 9, Copper Bullet, Irad Ortiz on board. Hollywood Star for Dale, I thought ran a good second, and Temstad runs third in here, but I thought the top two pretty good. Certainly Copper Bullet looked very, very good.
Yeah, he was much the best here. He sat a good trip off the speed duel. There was also a thought that the inside was better on Sunday as well, and he got parked out, but the two leaders really duked it out and then just stopped, and he inherited the lead and then drew off. So it gave Steve Asmussen his second win at the meet. Both his first two wins were both in stakes. The other was Gun Runner, graded stakes. So he has since won another race here on the turf this week. But Copper Bullet, had a bad trip in his previous race at Churchill Downs, but no such problem there. Just like I said, sitting off a speed duel. Hollywood Star did run well. Another horse in from Churchill Downs. Big disappointment for Barry Lee, who really got pounded. I couldn't believe that horse was 8-5.
I didn't get that either.
I mean, there was stories around, but even stories, here at Saratoga, there's a lot of money in those pools, and it did tip. The double, signified that he was going to be the heavy favorite. He wasn't right away, but at the end, that money came in the win pool as well, and he chased Mo Diddley, and neither of them had anything left at the top of the stretch.
Yeah, I found the odds kind of strange, but he was, if you listen to Public Handicap, not me, I didn't have that, I missed a note on that one, but everybody was kind of jumping on Barry Lee. All right, let's get some ideas for Saturday. A couple of stakes races coming up, the Lake Placid and, of course, the Alabama. Let's start on the grass with the Lake Placid. Grade 2 event, 1.8 miles on the turf for the 3-year-old fillies. I'm going to pull up here the Lake George, essentially kind of a prep working for this, and it's going to be number 8 Proctor's Ledge over number 7 Party Boat. They're both back on Saturday, but I have been a fan of La Coronel for a long time. Now, she didn't get it done at Royal Ascot, but I appreciate they took the shot over there. The two races just before that at Churchill and Keeneland were very good. I have to tilt in her direction, La Coronel, but with these two coming with this nice performance and essentially the prep for this, I think you have to pay attention to Proctor's Ledge and Party Boat as well.
Yeah, this is a pretty well-matched field. I mean, Proctor's Ledge winning here. This horse had shown a lot of promise all season long, right from the start in Florida. And she'd had a couple of bad trips, or unlucky trips, I guess you'd call them, in previous stakes races. But everything went the right way for her here, and she showed how good she is. And trainer Brendan Walsh, who's I wrote is on the men right now, he had an injury subsequent to that race, a riding mishap at Churchill, but he's okay, and he thinks his filly is sitting on, if not the same kind of effort, maybe even a better effort. That's how well she's done coming out of the race. But this is a tougher field. The one thing that stands out looking at this race to me is there's no pace.
Yeah.
Everybody in here wants to come from behind, so it'll be interesting to see who takes the early initiative. It looks to me on paper Byrne would be the one. I thought Uni was very dangerous here too. I thought this filly ran a very good race behind New Money Honey to finish third in the Belmont Oaks. She's going to turn back in distance a little bit, but she's won at 1 1/8, so I don't think that should be an issue. She may just be the most talented horse in here, should improve off her U.S. debut. But again, let's see how she works out, what kind of trip. I mean, she does look like, she might be one pace that need some help up front, or maybe they'll take a shot and see if she could get up closer. But it'll be a rider's race, as they always are in these turf races. La Coronel, obvious, and then we fill it out with Coasted, and like you said, Burns and the two we just saw. So it's a good field. It'll be interesting. I'm not even sure who they made the morning line favorite. I'm going to guess Uni, because it's Chad and coming off the Grade 1. She'll be the slight favorite over La Coronel, with Proctor's Ledge and Party Boat not far behind.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, as you say, pace-wise, as they come into that first turn. Maybe we'll have an idea how that's all going to play out. But if somebody can sneak away, they may be tough to reel in. All right, the Alabama, really an intriguing race with a field of 9 in here. Grade 1, $600,000 up for grabs. They're all going to try 1 1/4 miles. That is a huge question mark, obviously. But this race is intriguing. We're missing Abel Tasman, obviously. But New Money Honey coming off the grass to try the main track is going to be very intriguing. Holy Helena off the win against the boys in the Queen's Plate is Tiswell coming out of the win in the Delaware Oaks. Unchained Melody, I think, being lightly raced in what we've seen so far, is the one that intrigues me, given that, I think, as I say, being lightly raced with the 3 wins and 4 starts, a win here puts her right in the thick of the conversation with Abel Tasman. And we're going to go back and look at the Mother Goose here, the stretch run. It will be number 2, Unchained Melody, winning this one pretty easily in career start number 4. Salty, I've always liked that one. Elate finally seems to have gotten back on track. Actress, the winner of the Black Eyed Susan. This is a fun field of 9 in here.
Yeah, and this is another race. There's not a lot of speed, except for it looks like Unchained Melody's got to get loose on the lead. And that could go a long way to helping her stretch her speed from 1 1/16 to 1 1/4 miles if she can relax long enough up front. I don't know who's going to try to take her on early. Whoever does might be a bit compromised. Everybody else in here seems to want to sit back and make one run. Only 2 of the horses in here have been 1 1/4 miles, and that's New Money Honey, who did it on the turf, and Holy Helena, who did it on the synthetic surface, winning the Queen's Plate. And they're both question marks, transferring that form to the main track here. New Money Honey, really an intriguing horse. Chad Brown figuring there's nothing to lose. He might as well see now in a Grade 1 like this if she can handle the dirt as well as she handles the turf. If not, well, we'll know where she'll be the rest of the year. Like you said, Elate comes off a big effort last time. Salty as well. Salty's come back off that race. I thought she had a very nice work in her subsequent to that. And interesting, the rider switch, though. Joel Rosario, probably not surprisingly, is going to stay on Unchained Melody. And we get Tyler Gaffleone in from Florida, up again from Florida. He came up last night, won the last race here last night. He's had a couple of wins here. And he's been riding for Mark Cassey there, so he's going to inherit the mount here on Salty. And it's a pretty live mount. So all the Florida people rooting for Tyler there. But it is, like you said, a very, very wide open race. Again, I'm not even sure which way the favoritism is going to go. Maybe on Elate coming off the second in her last start. But again, I think the key to the race is the pace, how the racetrack is playing, if it's playing towards speed or not, and who's going to take the initiative in behind Unchained Melody. But it looks like it's Unchained Melody's race to control, and we'll see how good she is if she can get 1 1/4 miles and get it with these kind of horses.
I mentioned Unchained Melody being lightly raced to win in the Mother Goose, but puts a Grade 1 on the resume potentially on Saturday. She moves into the conversation with Abel Tasman. But as I'm looking, New Money Honey, if she gets a Grade 1, she'll have a Grade 1 on the turf and on the dirt. I think she steps up into the conversation, but it's a huge question mark.
Well, yeah, it's a huge question mark, and she's got to win it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf. Now she's coming off a nice effort in the Belmont Oaks. That's 2 Grade 1s already on the resume. If she got a Grade 1 on dirt, wow.
Yeah,
that'd be something. And tip of the hat to Chad if he's able to pull this off with her. She's worked okay on the dirt. There's no reason to believe she won't handle it, but whether she'll handle it with the same kind of quality horses as she handles it in the Grade 1s on turf. It remains to be seen. It'll be interesting to see how the public handles her and what kind of price she goes off at. She may just be 9-2 or something because of her turf form, and if she wins it, you'd say, wow, $11 on New Money Honey. But we'll see, and hopefully the weather will be fine and the track will be fast by then.
Yeah,
so we don't have that.
Yeah.
We have enough, to worry about it in trying to figure out these races and not having that variable to deal with as well.
And you mentioned Tyler Gaffalione. Most of the year you're based down in Florida. Any buzz that he may shift tack? Because he has been up here a bunch of times.
He talked about it after this summer. He thought about coming here for the summer, and then I think he made the right decision to stay where he is, get a little more experience there, be the big fish in the little pond, make his few trips up here and out of town elsewhere that he's been. And then there's a chance perhaps that he'll try New York or Keeneland in the fall, and then I'm guessing he'll go right back to Florida, though, for the championship. This
that
winter.
would certainly be logical.
I have not talked with him, actually, since I left there, so I don't know if his thinking has changed since the last time he and I talked. But at that point,
certainly can't be discouraged by what he's done up here this summer. I mean, I think coming
he's got a couple of wins, and that win last night had to pick up a few heads of trainers watching him come through on the inside like that. He's riding for Nick Zito, he's riding for Mike Maker, he's riding for Mark Cassidy, so he's got some big outfits in his pocket. He's ridden and had success for Todd and Chad down there in Florida, so he could also be in that mix if they're needing a rider in a switch that's some place down the line here. So I'm going to guess he might take on either New York or Keeneland in the fall, and then before he heads back home for the winter.
All right, Mike Welch, again, you can pick up the Daily Racing Form workout reports. Mike and team do a great job that keeps you up to date on some of the workout information, a great handicapping tool to put in your toolbox. Also find Mike's work, dailyracingforum.com, the hard copy as well. Mike, appreciate the visit.
Don't forget the videos, too. Saratoga Report every day at therf.com as well. So
Very good.
I got to plug them for the home team.
I appreciate tossing it out there. Mike, again, thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Rick Schosberg. We'll talk a little racing. We'll talk a little New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. All of that after this. Stay tuned.
No matter what you're craving or when you crave it, we've got plenty of options for you. Whether it's a hearty breakfast, light lunch, or relaxing dinner, our full-service restaurant and bar will satisfy your every taste. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
Nighttime Thoroughbred Racing is back at Capital OTB. Now through Labor Day, Capital OTB will be accepting wagers on nighttime Thoroughbred Racing from across the country, featuring evening racing from Del Mar and Woodbine, and now it's even easier to be part of the action. Simply log on to CapitalOTBBet.com on all your digital devices, or use our newly designed mobile app. So even when the sun goes down, Thoroughbred Racing continues at CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, you get track prices. Going on now, it's Bet 50, Get 50. Simply open a Capital Bets account, bet $50, and get $50 cash back. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
With Saratoga's best outdoor patio, a spacious bar, and plenty of off-street parking, it's the perfect place to meet friends and relax after an exciting day at the track. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Happy to be joined now by our friend Rick Schosberg. Good morning, Rick.
Seth, how are you? I'm glad to be here. It's a beautiful, gorgeous morning.
Happy to have you here. As you came up on stage, they said you were at the jockey basketball game a couple of weeks ago, where and we talked earlier on the handicapper sport. I may be retiring. I put my 2 points in.
That was a heck of a shot.
But
that was a heck of
after
a shot.
a couple of horrible 3-pointers, I had to redeem myself from those.
Call them what you want. They were horrible. There was no doubt about it. No, you hit a good shot. You were a little off balance, but you stayed with it. And,
but you were all suited up and had the knee brace on. We didn't get you out there.
Well, this year I've had a few injuries. I've been on the vets list, and my wife put me on the stewards list. And being that she's the only steward. Maybe next year. We'll see. Maybe she's saving me for something better. I don't know.
Well, if you go next year, I'll go next year. I'll stick in because
we recruited well. We recruited well. We had some good young guys on the team this year.
I was calling myself. There was the trainers, there was young guys, and then there was the novelty act.
No, you put in a good one. It was good.
All right,
2 points counted.
Let's get to some of the racing because you have one in today in the feature in the Union Avenue, and you and I were talking beforehand. My 4 chicks. We're going to go back and watch the May 19th allowance optional claimer, Pico Uno, who is also in, is going to be the winner, the number 1 horse. But my 4 chicks, the number 3 horse, runs second in here. And you and I were talking. She's in a field of 10 this afternoon. It's kind of a salty little group. 30-1 on the morning line, though. I think the line is too steep on a horse, my 4 chicks, who has an affinity for the course. Maybe a little horse for a course angle for her.
Yeah, there's no doubt. She's been in the exacta all her starts at Saratoga, including a stake win at this distance over this track. And if you look at her record at this distance anywhere, she's been in the exacta 7 out of 8 times. This was a good race for her. I think my rider moved a little soon. The thing about this filly is you have to be patient. And when I mean patient, I tell them to be patient and then be more patient. Because she'll give you the feeling she wants to make that big move around the turn and turn for home and spin off with the momentum, and she just doesn't get there just like that. You saw her head and head with Shug's filly, deep stretch, and then Jason's filly came and got her late. I think if we had waited a little bit more and tucked in, I think her kick will carry her to the wire. And I reiterate that to the jocks, whoever's been on her, and Jose's riding her for the very first time today. And we will do that. There's plenty of speed in here. Again, that extra half a furlong, I think, really is good for her. And I don't think she should be 30-1. She's a legitimate long shot, but I think she's a sneaky play today.
And again, 4 times in the exacta and 4 starts over the track, and she does very well at the distance as well.
Yeah, and you don't have horses that really like 6.5. You have some that may like 7, one may like 6. She's a tweener.
Yeah.
And this worked out well for us, and hopefully she'll put in a good effort.
My 4 chicks this afternoon. And the 8 post position for the kind of style you're looking at is a good spot, too.
Yeah, she's run good from any post position. As long as, she can drop back a little bit. She kind of just stays in contention, but towards the back. And just sit and wait and sit and wait and sit and wait. Don't make a wide move because then you're losing ground. Tip out when you can, or stay inside if you can, and do the best you can. If you get in traffic, that's racing.
My 4 chicks this afternoon. My colleague on the Handicappers Report said as he walked off the set and he asked who was going to be on the show today when I brought up your name. Did you win a 12-way shake yesterday? Did he have that
7.
Right?
7. Yeah, we had lost 4 shakes in a row up here. And yesterday we went in on a filly that won the 4th race yesterday with 7. And we felt a little confident when they drew the number 4. I said, you know what, that's right in the middle. Maybe that was us, and sure enough, we got her, and she ran well. And right now it looks like a good claim for $25,000, and we might get a shot to run her back at the meet.
Nice!
But we'll see.
The win under the belt, so you know she likes the track. Then.
No doubt.
Talk people through that for folks. I always say when we're up here at Saratoga, I think we have a lot of hardcore fans, but certainly a lot of new fans as well who maybe went to the track one day and got into it, and now are tuning in the program. Fill us in on the claiming angle. If you come on a race day with a claim in mind, what do you do to make that claim go through? What's the process of a claim?
First of all, the information gets out really early because we take entries 72 or even 96 hours early. So the information's out there. And if we're in a position to claim, and I have 3 owners up here in that position, we had lost one early on in the meet through the claim box, so we had a spot for them and then 2 others. What we'll do is we'll go down the list, and we have we have certain profiles for horses that we like, and certain, obviously we have price ranges that we can deal with. Anywhere from I would say from 25,000 to 50,000, which is pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone has that same look. Coulter fillies, not really a distinction, but we're looking for horses with some conditions that may be trending forward. If there's a New York bred with a condition or maybe two conditions, we made a nice claim back at Aqueduct that with a horse that had the A other than condition still, and he's gone through that and made a lot of money for us.
Oh, nice.
But those are the ones that you're going to have to shake for because we're not the only smart guys out there, and we're not that smart. So, and neither are the trainers that are losing these horses. That's what you got to believe. You know, you got to know that if a horse is dropping off a suspicious good race, put yourself in the position of that trainer. Why would you be doing it? So there's something going on. Maybe they're a little leery of it. You know, people like to have conspiracy theories. Well, they just need to win a race. Well, no, really, probably they know they're going to lose the horse. So you gotta be careful. But there are good horsemen out there. You know, I claimed a horse from Del Romans yesterday, and my owner, I said, look, the guy's won Triple Crown races, won the Travers. I mean, this is a real solid, good, one of the best horsemen in the country. And you got to know that when this filly looks good in this spot, and you know, we're going to have to do our homework after we get her.
So take us through the mechanics. You show up in the morning of where you want to make a claim. Yeah. What do you do to get that claim to go through? Okay, well, what we do is you can't go in the paddock unless you have a horse in the race. So the only time you get to see the horse is as they're walking through the crowd up the horse path and into the paddock, and you can watch them in the paddock up until you have 10 minutes. At 10 minutes, you have to have your claim slip in a metal box, and at 10 minutes before, the metal box seals shut. You might take your finger off if you're not careful. So you have maybe 10 minutes. They walk in with 20 minutes to go, and maybe have 10 minutes to evaluate. You know, is the horse walking well? Does the horse look enthusiastic about being there? Does the horse have front bandages and they never did before? Is that a ploy? Is it not a ploy? You know who you're who you're claiming from. Is the horse broke out in a sweat? Do they saddle well? You're looking for a horse that's going to knock your head off when you saddle them. Those kind of things. And then you get in touch with your client or your client's there, and they say, you know, at Saratoga they usually say, "I'll just go," because they love getting horses up here. At Aqueduct, it's usually my own choice because I'm usually by myself with a down coat on. But then you get your slip in the box if you went for it, and if there are other trainers, which up here usually there are other trainers that want that same horse, they'll do what's called a shake. When do you find that out, though? When do you find out you're not the only one?
Well, usually by word of mouth. After the slips are in, you go, "Hey, did you go? Did you go?" And then, pretty much everybody's forthcoming. Not everybody, but most of us are pretty close.
Yeah, once the slips
in
the box.
Well, I know there's at least 3 in, so blah blah blah. I think yesterday I knew there was at least 4, and then there was 3 others. So what they do is after the race runs, and the horse finishes the race, regardless of where the horse finishes. What they do is they take each claim slip, turn it upside down after they shuffle them, put a number on the back, and then another person in back there puts, they called pills, but they're dice with numbers on them, in a covered bottle, and they with the number 1 through 7, obviously, and then they shake it up, and one pill falls out, whatever that pill is. It says number 4. Turn it over. I was number 4, and we got the filly. So we were happy, and we're still happy.
Yeah.
She looked very good this morning.
Yeah, and again, I wanted to take people through the process. And on the front side, if a horse has been claimed, don't they put a tag on as they come
what
out?
They'll do is you'll see up here at Saratoga, there's 2 tags that they put on out there. A black tag would be a T, and that means they're going to the test barn, whether they won or whether they're just an extra that's going to the test barn to get tested, blood and urine. If the horse was claimed, it'll be a red tag with the horse's number on it, and they'll clip it right onto the horse's bridle, and they'll go back into the test barn, and then that's when the change of ownership happens.
Interesting, because as I say, the claiming game is so popular.
Yep.
I think a lot of people probably aren't aware of all that goes into it.
There's some new nuance. There's some new nuances too with regards to horses that, if a horse sustains an injury in a race and has to get a ride back in the ambulance, then you have an hour to make your decision. If you claim
you can go either way?
you can hold on to the horse if you want. And maybe the horse blew a shoe or something and felt a little. So you go back there and take a look. And that's one of the new safety protocols.
And the waiver, I think that started out in Southern California. That's a good rule too, because if your horse is out for a year and you put all the money into it, it's not fair that you can't go back at a competitive level.
At the competitive level. Yeah. At that level, if you get at that level or higher, or whatever the race. And there was a waiver horse in there yesterday. Todd's horse ran second, and she was not in to be claimed, but you have to establish that at entry time.
All right, Rick, one of the reasons I asked you back here, you're a board member of the New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. You're sponsoring a nice talk tomorrow. Before we talk about the talk, just let people know the mission of the Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association.
Well, we represent owners, trainers, backstretch, and the horses, okay, in every facet of the industry, whether it be political or whether it be safety or whether it be recreational, and certainly my MO lately over the last 6 years has been thoroughbred retirement and making sure that these horses that are not viable for racing anymore find themselves in a rehabilitation situation where they can be retrained for second careers, and that's where we're heading here with the seminar tomorrow.
Let me tee you up there. It's Dr. Patty Hogan. It's over at the Facing-Tipton Pavilion, and thoroughbred retirement is a hot button issue.
Absolutely.
And one of the topics that has to be discussed is knowing when to retire your racehorse. That's what this talk will be about. Facing-Tipton Pavilion tomorrow, 11 a.m., open to the public. But it's important, if horses are going to be retired and go on to a second career, that the timing is right for them to leave the racetrack, and that'll be the topic tomorrow.
Yeah. Patty's mission here at this seminar is to explain the challenges in keeping horses sound at the racetrack, but more so knowing when it's time to retire your horse prior to major injury. Now, we all know that injuries happen all the time, and they can be from any number of reasons. But what she's going to try and reiterate to the trainers and the owners and the public that shows up is that there may be clinical signs that are there beforehand. And our job, through our program, Take the Lead, which is the aftercare program sponsored by NYTHA that Andy and I run, is to not just retire horses, but to retire horses so that they can be rehabilitated, regardless of their physical condition. And they may have a major injury, in which case the rehabilitation phase would be longer. Then they get retrained for second careers, and that could be anything from sport horses to polo ponies to just backyard horses. We've had barrel racers that are thoroughbreds. There's a major demand for thoroughbreds in the sport horse business now. It was very high, then the warm bloods kind of took over, and now the thoroughbreds are now in higher demand. So what Patty's talk is going to be about, and Patty does some wonderful work for us. She does. We'll have her analyze x-rays and scans and do physical exams on horses that may or may not be surgical, and she'll help determine whether surgery would be necessary for a second career, or if it's a situation where yes, doing some minor surgery would really help this horse along the way for another 5 years. But her talk tomorrow is going to be look for the signs that would allow this horse to be retired a race early or a workout early. Okay, so we don't
have that second career.
And have a second career. And if you look you can go on our website, the NYTHA website, or the partners that we work with in the region are all Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance accredited facilities. And the accreditation process is very difficult. So you know that the facilities that these horses are going to are top-notch, and they're checked and inspected and audited constantly. So for them to be accredited by the TAA, you know they got to stay on top of things. We're talking about up in New York here, we have two wonderful facilities. Rerun, which is down in East Greenbush. Lisa Malloy, she'll be at the seminar tomorrow. Beautiful place in East Greenbush. It's a showcase. And she and her staff do full rehabilitation, full retraining, and full rehoming right out of that facility. New Vocations has opened up two facilities in the area here. One strictly for rehabilitation for horses that need a little extended care, and the other facility is for retraining, and they'll go on and readopt from there. New Vocations also has facilities in Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Ohio. It's a very large organization with facilities all over the country. So that's what we're looking to get the information out there tomorrow, is to make the horses' job easier, make our job easier, and really do the right thing for your horse before something may happen. And she's going to explain it scientifically, and she's going to explain it philosophically. And we're the service provider to make sure that these horses can get to those facilities. We do all the paperwork, we do all the vanning, we do the comprehensive vet work. The other veterinarians besides Patty, the attending veterinarians, have been fantastic, because what we want to do is make sure that before this horse gets to the facility, they know exactly what's coming. So the vets have sent x-rays, ultrasound scans. If they've had operations at any point in their time, either at Cornell or at Patty's, we get post-operative reports. All that information gets put into a package, paper package and electronic package, and sent along before the horse gets here. That horse gets off the van, they know exactly what they're dealing with, and that's our job at Take the Lead. That's what we do, and we provide, all the logistics of the transportation and the paperwork and the vet care. And we want to get the horses to that facility as quick as possible, not only for the trainer, because but it's good for NYRA, because NYRA may need a stall with a horse that is viable for racing, and they can keep their business going too. So it's a good program. Patty's been a superstar. She was the winner of our Equistar Award, our inaugural Equistar Award, because she does so much for aftercare. And we're so thrilled to have her here, and she's also a heck of a golfer. I heard she shot a 60-something yesterday, I think. Okay. I don't know, maybe not. I'm embarrassing her. But it's going to be a great seminar. It might be raining here tomorrow, so if you get out of the rain and get into that facility at Fasig-Tipton.
11 o'clock tomorrow, Fasig-Tipton, knowing when to retire your racehorse. Obviously open to horsemen, but open to the public as well. So highly recommend it. Folks can also visit the NYTHA website, New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association, learn more about Take the Lead. You and Andy Bellafiore behind that, and that's a great. Again, retirement and aftercare and second careers has become such a hot button issue. I always think it's great to kind of publicize how involved the racing industry is.
Absolutely.
Behind. I think it's easy to kind of think, the racing industry isn't paying attention to this issue, and so anytime we can kind of make it more transparent that in fact the racing industry is paying attention,
Absolutely.
playing an active role in getting these horses second careers, I think it's good to do.
Yeah, and the fact that we have the TAA, Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, crosses jurisdictional lines, because this is the kind of thing that needs to be done by the entire industry, and the entire industry feeds into this pension plan for thoroughbred racehorses. It's a brilliant, brilliant model, and they're working on more ways to get funding from each individual facet of the industry to feed into this, and it's really gone well, and it's a work in progress. But what happens is when these horses get to the accredited facilities, throughout their retraining and rehabilitation, retraining, rehoming, the funding from the TAA, that pension plan, gets fed to that horse and to help pay for his rehabilitation. And the idea is awesome in its simplicity, but you have really good people running it. Stacy Clark, who runs the TAA, and the inspectors that go around. I've done inspections for them, and the auditors that have stacks and stacks of papers to go through to make sure that these facilities are staying on top of themselves. And it really is a wonderful plan, and the whole industry is feeding into it, and that's the key.
Yeah, and again, happy to shed some light on what the industry is doing, because there is active participation. Again, you can visit the New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association website, read more about Take the Lead. Tomorrow, Fasig-Tipton, 11 a.m., knowing when to retire your racehorse. Rick, appreciate the visit. Good luck this afternoon with my 4 chicks.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Seth.
All right, we're going to take, we're going to wind things up, as it is the end of Racing Across America for a Thursday, live up here from Saratoga. Do want to thank Rick Schosberg, Mike Welch, and Michael Dubb. Do want to remind you, nighttime thoroughbred racing on days Del Mar is racing. We're going to be showing nighttime thoroughbred racing now through Labor Day. Also, the New Lebanon branch, again, a reminder, it is a fan appreciation day today, so swing on by if you're a patron and give us a chance to say thank you to you. Tomorrow, the bounty bet, $1,200 up for grabs. Play the late pick 4 at Woodbine. You're automatically in if you do that. Over the weekend at the Clubhouse Racebook, the Triple Challenge and Naira Pick 4 Sundays as well, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm going to wrap things up for Racing Across America for this Thursday morning. Enjoy the races this afternoon. Let's all cash a few tickets. See you right back here tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, for the Handicappers Report.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America has been brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border. And the new Capital OTB mobile app. Wager anytime, any place, anywhere. Download it free from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.